Good morning, everybody. This is Tricia LaCroix with Sacred Uprising Institute. We are a platform for spiritual and life transformation, a one-stop oasis for continuing your expansion from beginners to masters to beginners again. And today we are having Bliss. She will be coming on to continue her series for the Conscious Evolver. And this will be a series, today's topic is Deconstruction. So just give me a minute. I need to share this to some other platforms that we have, and then we will begin. We're just 5 minutes ahead of time too, so I just wanted to get some of this stuff done before we begin. Hi Kathy, I see you watching. And here we go. All right. So I am going to do just a few announcements. Well, we have had this beautiful quartz crystal. This is going to be given away to one fortunate person. The way to win this is to go to Sacred Uprising on YouTube and subscribe. If you do that before Friday, you will be entered into the opportunity to win this. One lucky person who has subscribed will receive this, and we will send this out by Monday. So please go to Sacred Uprising on YouTube and for your chance to win this beautiful quartz crystal. It's about 4 inches long. Its value is $55. And I chose this one because when I picked it up, it activated in my heart chakra. So I decided that was the one that I wanted to be able to give away to one fortunate person. Today we not only have Bliss, but we're also going to have Dr. Lisa, and she is going to be on at 12:30 Pacific Standard Time, and that's going to be on sacred sexuality. So looking forward to that. And just waiting for Bliss to join us, and then we can go ahead and get started. Another announcement. We have picked the venue for our conference that is coming up in September. Just as soon as we sign the contract, we will go ahead and once we sign the contract, we will go ahead and we will make the announcement where it's going to be, the costs involved. It will also be reflected on our website, which is sacreduprising.com. Please keep in mind that website, we're doing some changes to the website, which hopefully will be done, if not by Friday, but by next week. So we're working diligently on that. Okay, and I think that's all for the announcements. Let's see if we can get let's see if we can get Bliss on. I know she just said that she's here. She might be having some technical difficulties. When you do this on Facebook Live, you have to hit some icons, but sometimes, dependent on technology, sometimes the icons don't even show up. We had that issue a few times. So let's go through, for tomorrow, we will have Christy at noon Pacific Standard Time, and she will be talking about life lesson plans. Hey, Christopher. Transits and their effects. And then tomorrow at 2 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, I will be continuing my series called Calling in the One, and it will be about becoming what it is you want. So still waiting on Bliss. Let's see, what else can I tell you while we're waiting for her? We have some really exciting developments that have been taking place this last week. Some I can't share with anybody just yet. Oh, Bliss is, there we go. She probably had to restart her phone. Okay, Bliss, I just added you. So we have a lot of exciting developments that have been taking place this last week, and some I can share, some I can't. We have, with the yoga, the center that we're going to be doing the conference, there's opportunities for meditation, there's yoga, there's outdoor activities that people can take part in. There's also 3 different types of rooms that people can get. The least expensive, hey Bliss, hi, beautiful.
Hi.
Hi. I was just telling everybody about the conference center, and there's 3 different types of rooms people can get. There is a dormitory room, which is the least expensive. Then there is a room where there's 2 beds, so you can have a semi-private room. And then the last package is a private room and private bath. So we can hit all different price points for everybody's budget. So we're trying to be very conscientious of that. It's also from the facility, you can see the ocean. But we'll be about 30 minutes away, but people can take off and go do that as well. So anyways, let's get all the announcements out because we have lists here. I am not feeling good. My voice is shot. So I'm not going to be doing a whole lot of talking, which everybody's probably happy because I can hear you talk more.
Thank you. I love that you're actually sharing how you're feeling right now. One of the things that I love doing is witnessing the collective and what seems to be the general theme of what everybody's going through. And it's actually almost perfect that there seems to be like a collective deconstruction going on right now, which is really profound, because when I created the Conscious Evolver, what happened with my life was each segment that I was in, my reality reflected that stage so profoundly that it was literally impossible not to see it with such clarity. And as we've started this process, Trisha, every single stage that we've talked about the week of is the stage that we're in. And now here we are in deconstruction, and the collective is also now following this deconstruction along with us.
Right.
So the timing is just perfect. So just to recap, the Conscious Evolver is an 8-step system that enables everybody into their own self-leadership of evolving aspects of their life, areas that maybe weren't serving them to their highest good. So it's the aspects of our life to do with our connection to spirit or God or source, whichever you decide to relate to it or call it. It's to do with our career. It's to do with love and all of the extensions of love, ourselves, our partners, our children, our family. And then it's our lifestyle, how we connect with, how we take care of our body, and how we activate and work with our mind. So our hobbies and then we have our challenges come in. So it's all these different aspects of our life that are always constantly looking to be improved and upgraded. And so what I came to learn quickly was that the Conscious Evolver steps are always running through our life. The difference is that we can actually identify where we're at and name it. And then as soon as we are able to identify and name the space that we're in, all of a sudden we reclaim the personal power, and we are the active evolver in this process, rather than sort of navigating through it and feeling very lost, and segments maybe taking months and then reverting back to cup full. Now because we can identify these stages, we can consciously evolve ourselves at an accelerated rate. So we started off by talking about cup full, right, which is the easiest identifiable space to come into the Conscious Evolver system. So when we're in cup full, something has shifted in a way that makes us feel unhappy, uncomfortable, we're stressed out. And those are usually the parameters of like, whoa, I've been triggered. Something's looking to be brought up and healed and seeked to understood. And then we want to move it into decompression. And I love that you loved the analogy of the decompression is that big exhale of an overpumped tire.
Yes.
And we just let the shoulders drop, and we become aware of the tension that we were holding in the belly. And that can be 3 minutes. It can be stepping away from your job if your boss just had a moment, an ungraceful moment, and just going outside and having that sunshine on your face. It's walking away from the house if your children or your partner just had an eruption. It's receiving bad news or challenging news. And it's literally just taking that space to get into the internal self. So once we've taken the space, we move into deconstruction, and deconstruction asks us, who am I really?
Mm.
So in deconstruction, we really want to start peeling away the layers of what happened.
Right.
So let's just use the example of, I love this one because it's like it's always the one that comes to me. So say I'm in the kitchen and I'm doing the dishes.
Okay.
And all of a sudden, like I'm in my little happy place, and um, all of a sudden my partner comes into the kitchen and has an explosion. So there I was in my higher purpose. Everything was fine. Everything was great. And then boom, like a tornado, that energy comes in, and all of a sudden my nervous system is triggered, and all of a sudden I'm stressed and I'm unhappy. So what I do as a conscious evolver is I leave the house and I take that time by the ocean and I start to deconstruct. So what was said? What's going on? And I just start to peel away the layers. And I try to do this in a way that encourages acceptance as the highest form of love. So I try not to go into well, it's his fault or her fault, or I didn't do anything wrong. So it's really that ability to really claim what's going on. So it's a real purposeful and conscious choice to start to deconstruct the layers. And what I'm really doing here, it's almost at this existential level,
Right.
is what I'm really doing is I'm consciously choosing to release all these layers that are actually feeling like weight on the truest version of who I am. And so I really noticed what's going on with the collective right now is there's a mass deconstruction happening as a lot of us are really releasing all the layers of identity, all the labels, and all those scripts and all the conditioning, and we're all awakening back into our truest self, which is the oneness.
Right.
Right? Yeah, and so when we start to practice deconstruction, some of the most, the heaviest layers of identity and the layers of illusion begin with the things that are literally right in front of our face.
Right.
So thank you for all the love hearts, by the way. It's so encouraging.
It's so
I love
nice
it
to
so
see
much.
that. Right.
Yeah, right. Yeah, thank you so much for that interaction. So all we have to do is look in the mirror to be really aware of all these layers that we have really unconsciously bought into or agreed to. So even just looking at my reflection here, I have a layer of identity that is seen as gender. So you may be male or female or fluid. And so we just want to let that layer of identification just deconstruct.
Right.
And then we have our marital status, we have our education, we have our socioeconomic status, we have our shoe size, our sexual preference. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. We have our roles, our our careers. And so we really just want to start letting all of these layers just drop off of us, because each of us, what we aren't really aware of is that all of these layers have weight. And so as we really just release these layers, we're allowing the truest version, the most honest version of who we are, to rise up into our consciousness and into our awareness, so that we can see what's truly going on for us. And typically,
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I think this is so beautiful because we talk about who are you? Take away being a mom, take away being, a girlfriend or a wife or, a spouse, and take away the career, take away who are you? And that's what you're talking about, and taking away and getting to the core of wholeness, to who you actually are again, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And what happens is that because we've created this beautiful life experience with such profundity, and it's so profound that a lot of our truest essence gets pushed down, and it gets repressed and suppressed, and it actually begins right in our formative years with our shadow self. And so when we really start going into these deep layers of deconstruction, what we want to really encourage is for these shadow aspects of self to really be looked at in a really gentle and loving way. Deborah Ford wrote an amazing book called The Dark Side of the Light Chasers. And so for anybody that hasn't done any shadow work, I highly recommend that book. And what she teaches us is that typically when we are children, we come out with these really emboldened personalities and these really powerful ways of being and characters. And a lot of us came through remembering who we truly are, and we felt so much power in that knowing. And because it didn't conform, it didn't meet with the repressed conditioning that we've created in this reality. We're told, you know, don't act like that, don't be like that. Right. And so it's usually our strengths and it's usually our power. And you know, I have my little 4-year-old Solar Love, and she is just here to like just break all the boundaries. She's here to you know, she doesn't listen to what anybody has to say. She knows exactly why she's here, and she's on a mission. And so you know, our children coming through, I mean, they are very powerful. They don't hug if they don't feel like it, and they don't do what they don't want to do. And so the old version of us would say, hey, look, like, that's not cool. You need to conform and be more like us. And so that's what happened to our generation when we were children, is we learned how to repress our leadership skills. We learned how to repress our strength, right, and all that fire we had coming through. So when we go into deconstruction, what we're doing is we're actually going into those, what could be seen as sort of like dark and scary places. And yet what we're finding is that when we have the courage to go into those shadow places, what we see is that those are actually our finest gifts and our truest strengths, and exactly what it is that's needed in this moment right now, to carry through this revolution, right, that we're creating as we all evolve back into oneness.
That's so beautiful. I was thinking back of me being a child and the things that I was told I shouldn't do. I was the leader of the pack. I was the one that stood out. I was the one that was very vocal on how I felt about things. And it wasn't that they tried to guide it, understanding that what made me different was actually my strength. They tried to suppress it. In fact, I remember being in school and the kids were, I mean, I was in high school at the time, and they said, they pulled me out of the classroom because everybody was goofing around. It had to do with me, and I was being quiet because I didn't want to get in trouble. But they pulled me and took me to the principal's office and said, we had to take you out, not that you're in trouble, but because just you being there, they wouldn't have stopped. And so, but it was a constant trying to change me rather than to take what was making me different, take the rebel in me and guide it and nurture it so that it would be more influential, so it would be more beautiful, not suppress it because it was bad. Because I always thought I'm different and this is all, and I ended up acting out because they were trying to suppress me. So that's really beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. And I think a lot of the energy that, a lot of that power that each individual has within them has been misguided.
Yes.
And so that's what's going on, is that as a conscious evolver, we're reclaiming all of that power that's within us, and we're learning how to guide it in a really positive and powerful direction.
That's beautiful.
So with deconstruction, what we're doing is we're it's a literal stripping of all these false identities. So in all these ways that we've learned to play small, in all these ways that we've agreed to this script of not being too big or too powerful, we really start to just really peel these scripts and really look at them with our most honest eyes and with this open, vast heart space, and say, I see myself. And then in that seeing of self, then we start to see and recognize that true power within others. And again, it's that ability to go into deconstruction. And sorry, Solar, can I help you, babe?
My iPad is plugged in, but it's dead.
Okay.
Mommy, I was watching TV with my iPad plugged in.
Okay, I heard you, babe.
Then it died when it was plugged in.
Okay. I apologize. She was up throwing up last night, and so again, it's this beautiful opportunity to like continue on as an independent mother and still take care of my child, who's my first responsibility and priority in life. So, oh goodness, the best laid plans. So, yes. So, thank you for all the laughter and support. Okay, so getting back into my mind, you're just gonna have to go read a book and play with your Barbies. We'll be fine. Okay.
Mommy.
Shh, please. Okay. Okay, so we're stripping back the false identities. And so just to really know that in deconstruction that it's a real examination process, and it's a real detailed inspection of all of these layers. And yeah, the irony is funny because here I am saying deconstruct it, and then it's right here, right? And so that actually it ties in really well with decompression, the previous stage, because in decompression we really want to create space in a way that's fully supported. Right. And so I really did my best to create this deconstruction space in a way that would be completely internal, and yet here's my reality coming in, right? So Kylie says, oh, her little voice was a gift. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. So yeah, when we do this internal examination, what we normally find is that a lot of internal wounds and limiting patterns are brought up to the surface. And that's what the Conscious Evolver is really astounding to help with, is that we really come to recognize that these patterns just keep revolving around and around and around in our lives. And as we look back into the past through hindsight, we can see how the same pattern will have been created, usually in our childhood and or teens, you know, and then it'll continue cycling through our life until we take this real dedicated deconstruction time and learn how to break that pattern. And usually the best way to break it is to seek to understand it, right, and then to dissolve it with complete love and acceptance, and then the ability to evolve further with it. And so the beauty of the Conscious Evolver is that we know that the next stage coming up, once we've deconstructed all these layers, brings us into emptiness and void. Mm-hmm. And so I'm really looking forward to that one. Emptiness and void can be seen as a really scary and lonely place. Right. But when we have some words and some wisdom associated with it, all of a sudden we're back and into the empowerment place of evolving ourselves.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. See, what I love about your series, yeah, that you're showing people how to do it, and it's like a very easy flow to do it. It's not hard. It's not hard blocks. It's not hitting hard edges. It's just a beautiful, easy flow on how to do this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's what I love about the Conscious Evolver. So I just wanted to touch in on what deconstruction can feel like, because I think a lot of people are probably feeling that in this now, and of course, because we're constantly evolving all the different aspects of ourselves, many times you will be in the deconstruction stage. Okay. So just deconstruction can feel like a very raw and vulnerable place. Mm-hmm. As you are peeling all these layers of yourself that have been keeping you in this really like familiar place. So there's also a sense of feeling empty. I shared just even last night that that incredible lightness of being. even though it's what I strive for and it's what I consciously seek to attain as a conscious evolver, even in these moments of deconstruction, I can still feel very small and lost. And I think the biggest one for a lot of us is that sense of feeling alone, because as we deconstruct, all these conditions that we've been operating with no longer keep us in a solid, familiar place.
Right.
So just to know that these feelings are completely normal, and something that I've termed is called the solo journey. And it's something that we've all agreed to work on while we're here. And as much as, you know, the healers would love to assist and do the solo journey for other people, obviously it's everyone's own unique journey. And it takes a lot of courage and bravery to be able to go through your solo journey. And then just that reminder that even that separation is an illusion, and and that we're all on this beautiful journey of oneness, returning to one together.
Right. That's beautiful. And that's what Sacred Uprising is about. It is about oneness. It is the way that we're establishing this platform, but it's also the goal that we want to enrich people's lives with, show them the way, point them the way to oneness. However that journey looks, we have many different ways to get there, but to point and to be the collective doing it, and also rooting each other on, being each other's cheerleaders.
Exactly. There is a question here from Zen. Knowing that there are patterns of which to break is one thing, but how can one know what the patterns are that need to be broken? Okay. So if I'm reading that question right, what you're asking is, when do you know that there's a pattern that needs to be broken? Well, the patterns are usually what are aspects of our life or issues or challenges that haven't been resolved yet. So when we look at the word resolved, it's resolved. So if there's any patterns in your life that aren't serving you, that aren't making you happy, one of the biggest patterns that I'm aware of is the repeating pattern of people that grew up in abusive homes.
Right.
So let's just say that a parent was abusive. So if there was violence or even like psychological abuse, typically the first partner that teenager would attract would also have those same characteristics.
Right.
And it's the sense that we have that we want to solve that pattern. So we will attract somebody into our life so that we have the ability in real time to solve it. But without the awareness of that repeating pattern, what can happen is that pattern just keeps circling in our life and circling in our life. And then we become so familiar with that way of being in relationship that we don't even realize that that's not the normal. And so this is where our feelings were integrated into our physical body to be the messengers, to let us know that something isn't to our highest good. And so typically happiness and that real fulfilling sense of being loved and loving are really good measuring posts for us to lead us back into our truest self and our truest way of being. So I hope that answers your question, Zen. And I'll just scan here if there's any other questions.
You know, sometimes going through that process, I can think of my process. I kept choosing men that were all the same. They were based off of my father, right? So I call it be a different monster, or same monster, different suit. But while I was going through it, I thought that I was choosing better. I thought that it kept, until now where I'm completely out of it. And I see that getting out of those patterns is really hard. It's difficult. And it takes a lot of reflection. It takes a lot of inner work. It takes a lot of, like you said, deconstruction and every step that you've been talking about. I can apply it to where I was going through my journey, my process, and how had I had an opportunity to work with somebody like you on this, I could have been pulled out of that pattern much sooner than me having to struggle and do it myself. It's sort of like having somebody pull you out of the river
rather than you trying to crawl out of the rushing waters. It would have been much easier and much, much safer as well.
Well, I trust implicitly that the conscious evolver system was transmitted to me at the time in the collective consciousness was ready for
Yes.
it. So,
Right.
I look at Dr. Mikao Usui of the Reiki system in the late 1800s and early 1900s, and how powerful that system has literally like spread throughout our whole reality over the last 100 years, and how beautiful that system was and is for millions of people. And now here we are. We've spent the last century healing ourselves, learning how to heal ourselves, heal others, really claiming becoming a healer as a birthright. And now in this experience that we're having, the time is right for an activated level of consciousness, an activated level of awareness. So I've got a 3-month program starting in April called the Initiate Circle. And what it is it's an accelerated conscious evolver program. And so not only do we incorporate the conscious evolver, but there's also energy activations that I transmit into the initiates. And just to respond to your comment, Tricia, in the winter program, I had my first 19-year-old.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
That's beautiful.
and it was exactly that. It was such an honor, and to be able to assist her with where she was at as a 19-year-old. And I remembered my first sensation of just the deepest honor and feeling like I was actually having this circular healing in time myself, what it would be like to have somebody who has wisdom and has guidance to really come to us at our 19-year-old self, and to be able to just share these really amazing ways of being and this real incredible guidance system. And what was really great was she just gave me feedback yesterday, and she said that she doesn't even recognize who she was 3 months ago.
Wow. I think of my she'll be 22-year-old. She's our admin. I'd love for her to be part of something like this, because it's so just having these quick 30-minute discussions. It's very there's transformation with it. Christopher asked a question. I can't see it anymore, and I can't.
It's okay. Yeah. Are feelings of cupful good flags for identifying patterns that want to be broken? Yeah, absolutely. The key with becoming a conscious evolver is that we want these flags. So perfect word, Christopher. Thank you. We want these flags to literally just be flags and messengers. And so we can look back in the previous generations, and I'll just use marriage for an example, in that, a lot of people would stay in marriage because there were so many conditions and social conditions that you could not leave a marriage, even if there was abuse, even if you were terribly unhappy, and even if the soul wasn't thriving, because divorce was so deeply frowned upon. And so we have this culture where people are afraid to step out of their unhappiness because they feel like that's just it's, well, not only is it their familiar, but they fear change. Right. So we can look at all these old ways of being from the previous generations and really take those lessons and integrate them into this new way. And yeah, these flags of unhappiness and these flags of stress, and really immediately move into the next stages of the conscious evolver. So that what I learned after integrating the conscious evolver into my own world, for the last 5 years, is that I can actually do a 3-minute conscious evolver now. So it's like, if I get a trigger, I can go, okay, woo, what was that? And then I go, whoo, okay, exhale, decompression, okay, deconstruction, and I'll just be able to name what happened. Then I take myself into the next stage, which is emptiness and void. And I really look forward to talking about all the other stages. And I can literally go through all of that within 3 minutes, and then be back into higher purpose. And the lesson has been revealed, understood, and integrated. So that's one of the things that we can all look forward to as we really involve the conscious evolver in our everyday.
You know, there's one thing that we haven't talked about, and that is you have this conscious evolver program and the initiate program. Is that something that people can do with you? Not just because you have these groups. Can people do it from not just in the groups, but also one-on-one on the phone or on video?
Yeah. So what I love about the Conscious Evolver is that it was created for self-leadership.
Okay.
It was created with self-direction in mind, because inherently we all have the power. We all have the power to evolve ourselves to back into happiness and back into love. And yet sometimes there are moments where the blocks are so big. And sometimes when things are so in our face, it's really hard to see the forest for the trees. And so you can use the manual and you can self-direct, or I do 30-minute soul-to-soul conversations and 60-minute Conscious Evolver coaching sessions. And then, of course, the 3-month acceleration program coming up.
Why don't you tell
And I wanted to tell you this live, Trish. I have found the partner for the online course.
Did you really?
And so,
that's so
yeah.
wonderful.
So,
yes.
And you were so right. Your guides told me that there was somebody already in my world.
Yes.
And it's actually one of the Seviots, one of the first graduates of the Initiate program in 2017.
Oh.
And we were speaking on the phone, and I got 5 hits to ask her, and I finally pushed through, and she was like, "Of course I do."
Oh.
So thank you for that.
So people understand, we had a conversation that she needed some assistance with her program, and what my guides were telling me was she already knew the person. It was just basically that you already knew the person, right?
And at the time you told me that, I was like, I don't know I don't know anybody. And yeah, so thank you for that. So the online course will become a reality over the next few months.
That's great.
And so with everybody here as my witness, I would just really love to call in somebody who is really good at making online courses, and so that we can really just share this with as many people as possible. And I always mention it in our things, but that all of my services are at pay at what you can afford, because I really believe in a reality where we offer our services not at the value, at these like ginormous values, you know, just to prove our worth, but because we really just want to assist and work with each other. And it's something that I've been offering for over a year now. And what I love is that some people are able to pay that full value and some people pay less. And it all works out. And the key is that when we can all step into service in a way that works with each other, then all of a sudden we can start seeing the chiropractor, and we can start seeing the dentist, and
Mommy,
you know, all of these things that are our services.
Take that off yet.
Stop.
You don't take that.
Do I say hi to everybody?
Now, how do people get your workbook?
Off.
Hi, Solar.
So everything is available on my website, blissprema.com.
Blissprema.com. Okay, very good. Well, Bliss, this was wonderful, and I appreciate everybody who threw her hearts and smiley faces and all the comments and questions. That's very meaningful for those of us who are on camera and talking. So we understand what your heart is, what you want to hear, and we can answer any questions for you. So thank you so much. And Bliss, as always, love doing these with you. And hopefully I did tell people yesterday that you had said that you were willing to do more. So guess what? They want to hear you more.
Thank you, Trish.
And thank you everyone being patient with me. I am not feeling good. My voice is going away, but we do have another video today, once again with Dr. Lisa about sacred sexuality. So looking forward to that. And we will be doing this again with Bliss on Wednesday. So next Wednesday. So everybody, thank you, Bliss. Thank you, Solar. I hope you feel better, sweetie. All right. All right. Thank you so
And
much, Liz. Thank you, everybody.
and just so much love to everybody. I'm so grateful, and I really love the authenticity of this, of you being authentic with how you're feeling, Trish, and for everybody just loving Solar's presence, and just how real it is just to be here, you know, trying to run a company with a sick child. So thank you, everybody, and I really feel your love. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Until next time. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.